Okay, so last we left off, Jenny and I were back in Vegas, where we were staying with my uncle in his condo with the rest of my family. That day was pretty boring, I guess, by standards. We were both really tired, so we just decided to stay in the whole day just to rest. I took a nap. Jenny just watched TV. And we didn't really end up doing anything until later that night when we went to Caesar's Palace with my uncle, my aunt, and then some other family members. It was our first time in Caesar's Palace, and rather than gamble, we were hungry, so we just decided that we would go and search for food. And we had no idea how massive Caesar's Palace was, and we ended up walking around probably for a good half hour, 45 minutes before we ended up at Planet Hollywood that they had there in the casino. And we did some shopping at the gift shop right next to it, and that didn't take long at all. And then we just decided that we would eat at Planet Hollywood. And so we sat down. We probably had like an hour, hour and a half maybe. And it took them so long to get us our food that by the time the guy brought it out, we had to be like, can we get this to go? Because we had to be back to meet everyone else at a certain time. We had appetizers and we had beverages there at Planet Hollywood, but just because we were under the time constraint, we just didn't have time to sit down and eat it. It was pretty cool just to see all the different stores and fountains and an aquarium in there. It just seemed like a really big mall. And then, you had all the cool decorations that associated with Caesar, which was also really cool. We got back to the condo and we had dinner, and then we just pretty much went to sleep right away because we were gonna leave to Hailey, Idaho next morning, and we just wanted to be rested up for that. So that morning we ended up waking up about 7 a.m. and heading out to Hailey, Idaho. The drive was about 10 and a half hours long, and it was mostly through Nevada. And out in this area, there was very little cell phone signal, and there wasn't really much to see. Every now and then there were some cool rock formations, but other than that, there was really nothing to look at. So we arrived in Hailey, Idaho at about 5 p.m. The only reason that we went to Hailey, Idaho was to go to McLean's Pizzeria, which is a pizza place that is co-owned by Ian Somerhalder, and Jenny just thought it would be a cool place to go before we headed back to Minnesota. McLean's was a really nice place to go to. The atmosphere was very relaxed, which was nice, and the food was really good. I believe I had a buffalo chicken pizza, and I think I ate it all too. No, I enjoyed the pizza. We had a good time. So after that, we just started our drive back to Minnesota. As we were leaving Idaho, we came across the Craters of the Moon National Preserve. The ground looked like it had been upturned by some excavating machinery, but I think that's just the way the ground was. It was a dark color. I think it was close to black, and it just looked cool. If you look it up on the internet, you can see pictures of how this place looks. It's pretty cool. It was cool to drive through. We didn't have much information on it at the time, and but it was a good drive. And somewhere along the way, Jenny had schmucked a bird, and when we stopped at her next stop so we could get gas, we found this bird dangling from her front license plate. And we had no idea how long it had been there. She thinks it was probably close to like an hour and a half that we were driving with this bird stuck on the front license plate of her car. And I was the one who had to remove it, even though I wasn't the one who hit it. But whatever, it was what it was. And yeah, and then we continued our drive from Hailey, Idaho to Minnesota, our hometown, was 22 and a half hours. And somehow we managed to take turns sleeping and driving. we drove those 22.5 hours straight through onto Saturday night when we finally arrived back in Minnesota. And that was the end of our trip. It was fun, and I would totally love to go out to the West Coast again, or any of the cities we visited. Maybe not Las Vegas, it's a little bit too hot for me, but I mean, it was fun. It's definitely a place to visit. I wouldn't mind visiting again. And yeah, Denver was a lot of fun. I would definitely like to go there again, spend some more time with my friend, and just to be able to see more of Denver rather than just the 2 days that we had been there. That is the conclusion of the road trip. Thank you for everyone who watched all the vlogs about this, and thank you for being patient, because it's been like 3 months now since we've been on this trip. Then I'm finally finishing up this video update. But there you have it. That was the trip. It was fun. It was a good time. I don't regret going. And if you ever get the chance to do a cool road trip, you should. And that is all.